Tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is BiLan. I am a Chinese American citizen, a contemporary Chinese artist, a retired art professor, author of the book Diary of the Dragon's Daughter, the George API Leadership Council, and grandmother.
What do you and why did you immigrate to the United States?
I was an art leadership member in China. Well, still in China, in 1999 I was granted U.S. permanent residency and the alien of extraordinary ability. I immigrated to America for the freedom to tell the story of my journey. I love my country, but I did not have this freedom to paint the true history of what happened to me and my family and the mom. All countries make a mistake, even America, but the difference is learning from the true history.
Do you show support, political stance in your art?
My art is historical and educational, and it is not meant to be political. However, during the past 4 years, it was so important to stand up for our democracy.
What inspired you to become politically active? How did you get into activism?
I became political active when I saw what happened in America and in the world under Trump in the White House. I love China, but I can never forget my experience living under the dictator Mao. And I know what it's like to be discriminated against. Trump used the hate and fear to divide the people to stay in power. I got into politics in May last year. I was painting America Divided about Trump. And I joined the Black Lives Matter. And I post on some Chinese on WeChat groups, and I never thought that some Chinese Trump supporters would attack me because I support Black Lives Matter. And I was also so shocked. So much fake news in Chinese WeChat groups about Joe Biden's policy, and I just stand up to write articles against the fake information about Joe Biden and Black Lives Matter. Since I began as full-time volunteer for Joe Biden and the runoff.
How long have you been supporting the Democrats? Did that change through the years? Why do you support the Democratic Party?
First, I am an American citizen, and I believe in the two-party system. Our democracy was built on half a balance of power. Because too much power can corrupt even the best people. I vote for the best person with the best plans and policies for all Americans, and not just for a select a few people. During the time I have been in America, the party that best represents all the people has been the Democrat Party. For example, Obama's lead law help women get equal pay, health insurance for low-income people. I helped was phone banking for Obama's campaign 2012, but I am more Democrat now because I'm very disappointed in many Republican leaders who will not stand up for American democracy.
Comment on the huge Asian American turnout. What's the importance of Chinese Americans having an active political presence?
You know, it's so important for Chinese Americans to participate in political elections and to learn about how democracy works, because many of Chinese, they do not have this responsibility before coming to America. Many were not registered and never voted even though they lived in America and were American citizens for over 20 or 30 years. So this election helped many Asian Americans to learn about American history and about Black Lives Matter discrimination and how this discrimination directly affected them.
What are the respective parties' attitudes towards the AAPI? Has that changed?
I learned about what is API after I began our Georgia API's Leadership Council. API's accomplishment for Biden's campaign really caused the Democratic Party to pay attention to Asian American voter turnout. As a Georgia API's Leadership Council, I worked along to organize Chinese American volunteers, and we worked as a Georgia API's team to support each other during the election.
What are your observations about the community's influence and reactions? Are they active, or I don't care, or resist to be even involved at all? What's the cause of the biggest blocker of Asians to become politically active?
Many of Chinese immigrants and other Asian Americans don't pay any attention to politics, elections, or about the candidates. They think they just follow the law and be a good citizen. Most of the Asians living and they're addicted are afraid most of the time, and they get used to be afraid. Many Chinese Americans don't watch main news media like ABC, CBS, CNN, etc. in English. And they receive the information in Chinese, WeChat. And they now think this information is fake. And they did not spend time to find the truth. I was really surprised. Many Chinese Americans in Georgia are afraid of Trump and his supporters. I reached out many of my Chinese friends. They told me they will vote for Democrat, but they don't want other people to know. And I helped many Chinese Americans to register and vote, but they do not want me to know their real name because they were afraid.
What are the main tools of communication, and has that clashed with Trump supporters?
Our main tools, first, to educate Chinese Americans by inviting guests to speak and write an article to explain the facts about the problems we face as a society, like keep social security, health care, and economy, and good jobs, and a good education that reduce discrimination against one another, and encourage them to register and send to application for their absentee ballot. I created a webpage was voting information in Chinese. I designed flyers about Joe Biden's plan and the policies and how Obama and Joe Biden did a successful job during his vice president years. I posted this on the Facebook, Twitter, over 30 Chinese WeChat groups every day in the morning against the Trump's support this fake information about Biden and Black Lives Matter and other things.
Tell us about your work during the presidential election and the Senate election.
During the presidential and the Senate election, I was busier than when I taught at the college. I organized the 3 rallies for Joe Biden with Dr. Jinny's help. I designed over 50 flyers, postcards with my painting images, and it was George volunteers sent 9,000 postcards to Chinese American voters in Georgia. And I helped to design the signs for Georgia APIs and the postcards for Georgia PAC, and the advertisement for Democrats in 6 newspapers. I made a film and edited many videos for the campaign. I checked the WeChat every day a few times when I saw some post questions asking about voting information, then I invited them to contact me personally. I offered to help there, and I have helped many over there and walked through the voting process. Most of the voters have trouble with English. The author and Warnock can be managed both or Georgia AP as a leadership council. And I just have the phone banking and the rallies and anything to ask me to help. I just do it.
Describe the voting process and how did it make you feel?
The process started was getting new voters. That is number one. New voters to register, number one. Apply for absentee ballots and then educated them to vote for Democrat. It was a lot of work. As I mentioned, I was busier than when I taught at college. But we had many volunteer groups from Georgia and other states. Some groups called the Warnock Chinese Americans list, some groups for banking for Georgia State Party list. We call almost every day. And January 5, the final day, I called 450 voters from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. in 9 hours. I felt like I was running a race. I must run the race to the end. I was so happy when we won both Senate seats. I feel so relieved our democracy come back after Joe Biden, Ossoff, and Warnock win.
Tell us about the Asian American voter turnout to this election cycle. Is there a significant increase? What do you think caused it?
Recording the AAIDEF exact poll 2020, Asian Americans chose Joe Biden over Donald Trump by a margin of 62% to 36%, and George favored Warnock of 64%, and Ossoff of 68%. Most Asian American vote can see Trump's hate and fear campaign was to divide America. And Trump's discrimination against the Chinese, calling Chinese virus. Myself 2 times, and the white Trump supporter go back to China.
The Chinese American group is only a small portion of the voter population. Does this encourage or discourage you or the community's motivation to have a stronger political presence?
Every vote is important, we learned from the campaign. Even though the Chinese American voters in Georgia are only 13%, but it make different for a candidate. I believe more Chinese will pay more attention in elections and know more about our candidates, and we go to vote.
Looking forward, what do you think the community expects from our new president? What do you think about President Trump?
Joe Biden is a decent and honest leader. I believe Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will unite America, and the world will respect America again to build better America. Our community believes that Joe Biden will continue to be an honest leader with plans and policies to, that work. He has already selected a diverse team of experienced leaders that represents America. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and their team will fight. Our good is the enemy, the COVID-19. Joe Biden will bring back to strong economy like he did when he was vice president. And more Americans will have good jobs, education, health care, and hope for an even better future. I think Trump will continue to be against the democracy and continue to encourage hate and fear and lie to his supporters that the election was stolen. On January 6, Trump and his son and his attorney told thousands of his supporters to march on the Capitol and stop the senator from making the formal announcement that Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States. I hope Trump will be impeached a second time, and that he will be blocked here for running for any office in the future.
What do you foresee as the importance of the Chinese Americans in the future elections? What does your group aim to achieve in the future?
As a Chinese American myself, I learned that it's so important to watch our elections and to choose the best candidate. In the future, our Chinese Americans and all Americans will continue to achieve a true democracy. We will all look back to see that the 2020 election will go down in history has proved that democracy is alive and well. Our democracy will survive because the 2020 election was proven to be a true and a fair election. The votes were recounted many times. Many quarter challenges supported the voters, and our votes were certified by both Republicans, Democrats, the Electoral College, and the Senator. For now, we're just taking a break from the election. My next project will be to make a video about our volunteers from the Joe Biden and Georgia. Then I will come back to my studio, continue the painting the true history about American 2022 and the runoff. My new painting's title is We Are the People. Thank you.